Welcome to Module 3 of our online abuse prevention plan training for Trinity Church. Thank you again for your willingness to serve and support the kids and youth at Trinity. So in this module we have a number of things to get through. We're going to talk about washroom procedures. We're going to talk about registration, signing kids in and out. We're going to talk about how to handle transportation, how to handle non-approved worker adults at a program or event. We're going to talk about discipline. We're going to talk about displays of affection, as well as first aid. So let's get into it. Washrooms and diapers. During programs or events targeting minors, the doors to the bathrooms should always remain propped open, and wherever possible, minors younger than grade 1 should only be taken to the washroom, or infants have their diapers changed by a parent, guardian, or their own caregiver. Of course, that is not always possible, so a worker changing a diaper should do so in the presence of at least one other unrelated worker. Minors requiring assistance should be accompanied to the door of the washroom by a worker of the same gender. And the worker will wait outside the door in the hallway in case they are called upon for help or hear anything suspicious. If the child needs help in the stall would be kept open and another worker should stand outside the washroom. The workers should consider the privacy of the minor and ensure that the parent is informed if the student needed help in the bathroom. Remember that underage workers are not authorized to take other minors to the washroom. And whenever a minor requires a washroom break, hallways and washrooms shall be checked regularly by a worker who is trained regarding what to look for in terms of suspicious activity, including strangers lingering in halls or washrooms. Typically, this is the hall monitor. So let's go through some different things involving paperwork. Firstly, we'll talk about registration and attendance. It is essential that every minor is always accounted for while under care of the church. Therefore, registration and attendance procedures are mandatory for every program that deals with minors. No exceptions. All participants should complete a registration form which includes the full name of the minor, contact information for the minor as well as the parent or guardian, whom to contact in case of an emergency, and any allergies or other information which we need to help ensure the best care possible for that child. At the beginning of each program or event, attendance always needs to be taken so that the ministry workers know who is under their care. The attendance should include marking any underage workers. This is very important in case of an emergency so that every minor is accounted for. For programs and events that target ages 0 to 2, a procedure shall be implemented which clearly identifies the minor and the minor's parent or guardian caregiver so that we know who belongs with whom. The name tags that we print out from Breeze serve to perform this function because they have a matching code for the parent and the child. For each program or event with a target age under grade 1, a procedure for signing minors in and out is mandatory and must be established. For programs and events with a target age under grade 6, a procedure for signing in and out shall be used wherever possible. And the exact parameters and requirements will likely vary depending on the type of event or program and the age of the minors, so it is up to the ministry leaders to set that in place appropriately. Whenever possible, approved workers should be the only adults present at a program or event, but this is not always possible for different circumstances. So how do we handle it when non-approved worker adults are present? So So if other adults that are not approved workers are present, the following shall be observed. They must be visibly designated as visitor by wearing a sticker, name badge, or similar. The visitors must be logged on the attendance form. The visitors would never be left alone with minors, and those visitors would never be supervising minors. So the most common example of when a non-approved adult would be in a program or event is with the younger Sunday school class, and the parent wants to stay with the child to see how the program works and to help the child feel comfortable with the space and the teachers, and that is fine. We have stickers that the parent would wear. We mark them on the attendance, and then that parent is there just to be with the child. They're not helping the other kids with anything else. They're just there with their own child. Other example of a non-approved adult would be a guest speaker coming to talk to the youth. And again, that person would get a sticker saying they are a visitor, would be marked with the attendance to know that they were there, and they would only be there just to do their presentation. They wouldn't be supervising the kids or monitoring or managing the program in any way other than presenting what they've been asked to share. So what about transportation? In order for a worker to be allowed to drive minors, they must be pre-approved by the ministry leader. We must have a copy of a valid G-class driver's license on file in the church office, as well as a copy of their up-to-date automobile insurance. The parent or guardian will have signed a consent form before we would drive any minors anywhere. And we'll always make sure there are at least 3 people in the car, whether that's 2 adults and 1 minor or 1 adult and 2 minors. There would always be at least 3 people in the vehicle. When we're thinking about overnight events, we will remember that there must be at least 1 female worker and 1 male worker if it is a co-ed event. And we would ensure our ratio of 1 to 7 at least, even if the applicable ratio would normally be 1 to 10 for older kids. And every weekend and overnight retreat with all workers serving as chaperones and supervisors for the events will be cleared in advance with the church board, so we have that on file. And now let's talk about discipline. At no time should a worker physically discipline a minor. I think that is clear, but very important to take note of. A worker may not threaten to withhold food, such as saying, if you can't behave, then you won't get a snack. Well, that is not an appropriate way to manage a situation, but it is okay to withhold other special privileges, like getting to do something special with the class or sitting out a game and things like that. That would be appropriate. And the worker should deal with the minor calmly and fairly. We don't want to be yelling and screaming at anyone. To help prevent behavioral problems from starting, leaders should clearly state the rules and expected behavior. It is also beneficial for the workers to be good models themselves and to set a good example. We want to create a loving and caring atmosphere and arrange for an age-appropriate environment for the minors, and we will always treat people with respect. So to help manage the classroom, we'll make sure we establish and communicate realistic expectations for the minors, be sure the activities are meaningful and age-appropriate, be fair and consistent with everyone in all situations. Reinforcing positive behavior is always very helpful, and we need to be aware of any special needs that students have. Displays of affection. So here are some appropriate displays of affection. Holding a younger minor that is crying to comfort them, speaking to a minor at eye level, always a good idea, briefly holding a minor's hand when speaking, listening, or walking with them, gently holding the minor's shoulder or hand to keep their attention or redirect the minor's behavior, putting your arm around a minor's shoulder when comforting them, patting minors on the head, hand, shoulder, or back to affirm them. So those are some appropriate displays of affection. And things that we will avoid: kissing or coaxing a minor to kiss you, extended hugging or tickling, touching a minor in an area that would normally be covered by a bathing suit, carrying older minors or having them sit on your lap, and any form of prolonged touching. All right, so now let's talk about medication and first aid. Workers are not to give or apply any medication. Only parents may administer medications. No medication should be accepted or left in the classroom or nursery. The exception being an EpiPen or a puffer would be kept with the student. They shall only be administered at the church by a worker in a case of extreme emergency where it is not possible to wait for an EMT or parent, and only after 911 has been contacted. And here's a quick look at how to administer the EpiPen. But again, we would only do this in an absolute emergency, or would we do this ourselves? Of course, in any severe emergency, we will call 911 immediately. Whenever dealing with any bodily fluids, universal precautions should be used. This includes minor cuts, bloody noses, vomiting, and all waste excretions. You would isolate other minors from the bodily fluids. We'll try to make sure we have gloves on, and isolate the soiled materials into a plastic bag so that it can be disposed of appropriately. We will immediately clean all surfaces that have been exposed to bodily fluids with an approved solution, 10% bleach and 90% water, and wash our hands thoroughly afterwards, scrubbing the back, front, and between the fingers for at least 30 seconds. Whenever there is an incident or injury, we will always fill out the incident report, and those forms are available in the kitchen near the phone, as well as some in the portable on the back table. Thank you for completing Module 3. We really appreciate you and all that you do. God bless.